Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please, if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Please subscribe and comment. That's the only way you can support me, please. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in. So today I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful dress with gathers below. And without further ado, let's dive right into the video. So you'll be needing this fabric called rib fabric and doll face, and you can decide to use Duchess. It depends on your preference. So I used 2.5 yards of doll face and 1.5 yard of rib fabric. Okay, it's called rib fabric and it's very stretchy. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to draft it on the paper. So I'm drawing a straight line which will serve as my starting point. Then I'm going to go ahead to take my shoulder to waist measurement, which is 16 inches. Then my shoulder to waist again, I'm just going to go ahead to draw a straight line. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to take my waist to hips measurement, which is about 9 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead to draw a straight line. So for the full length of the dress is 36 inches minus 10 inches, which I'll be using for the gather below. So 10 minus 36, that's 26 inches plus 1 inch allowance, so that's 27 inches. So I'll be marking 27 inches for the length of the dress. So by the time I had the gather, it's going to complete the full length already. Do you get? So I'm drawing a straight line. So now I'm just taking my neckline measurement, which is standard 3 inches, and also out my shoulder divided by 2. Then I'll come down by 1 inch. Then I'm just going to go ahead to connect my line like so. So for the I'm going to go ahead to do the armhole measurement. For my armhole measurement, it's my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So in my case, it's 40 divided by 6 plus 1.5. So I'm going to mark whatever I have. Then I'm going to draw a straight line. Okay. So then I'm going to connect like so. Then I'm going to take my bust divided by 4. That's 10. And also I'll mark the midpoint of this point. Then come in by 3/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to go ahead to connect using my armhole. So now I'm going to go ahead to take my waist divided by 4, that's 7.5, okay. Then also my east divided by 4, that's about 11.5, okay. Just mark 11.5, and I'm just going to go ahead to connect it. So this cloth doesn't have allowance because it's very stretchy, so you don't have to add any allowance, just take your measurements directly. So now on the hem line, you can just minus 2 from whatever you have on your hips, or you can just go ahead to just draw a straight line, okay. But I advise you just come in with a little by 1 inch, okay. So that's the best I would advise. Please don't add any allowance, okay. So because this neckline is like a wide neckline, okay, it's like all this cano neckline, so I'm going to mark 5 inches, okay, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch, and I'll come down by 3.5 for the front neckline. So I'm drafting for the front and then back neckline, okay. So now I'm just going to go ahead to cut out the back first, okay, before cutting out the front. So you don't need any allowance for this particular cloth, only on the armhole, that's okay. But for the side, it's a very stretchy fabric, so you genuinely don't need any allowance. Only if you're working with a non-stretchy fabric, then you can add allowance, okay. So now I'm just going to go ahead to fold my fabric into 2, which is my rib fabric. I'm going to fold it into 2. So first I'm drafting out the back, okay. So now for the back, I'm just going to go ahead to pin it down, okay. Then please while pinning it down, I left 1 inch in front, which will serve as my zip allowance. So what I noticed while cutting this clothes, that it's so stretchy that you really don't even need to add zip allowance, okay. So you might decide not to even add any zip allowance. Basically you cut the front and the back same way, so you don't even need to add any zip allowance, you understand. It depends on how stretchy the fabric you want to use, but for this fabric, it's so stretchy that if you don't even add any like zip allowance, it's genuinely fine. You don't really need to do that. So I'm just going to repeat. You can just place your folded fabric and place your pattern paper on top of your folded fabric without adding any allowance. It's just that you when you want to cut out the front, you have to shape out the neckline, which is basically cutting out the front neckline, then fold again, then place it on top. You don't really need to add allowance if you are working with this rib fabric specifically. Okay, so you need to add any zip allowance. So now there's this thing I always do to erase bulges. So on the waistline, I'll come in with by 1 inch. Then I'm just going to go ahead to connect it with my ruler. Then I'm going to cut it out. So this help erase bulges. So if you are not working with this particular fabric, you need to do this. But as long as you are working with this particular fabric, you genuinely really don't really need to add any allowance. Just fold your fabric, then place it on top. Okay, so now I've already gone ahead to cut out the back piece. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the front piece. So before cutting out the front piece, I have to reshape the neckline, okay, of the front. Then I'm going to go ahead to fold my fabric into 2 again. Then I'm going to go ahead to place my pattern paper right on top. Just go ahead to pin it down and then cut it out. So after cutting it out, the next thing you're going to go ahead to do is you can just go ahead to notch the waist and the hips line. Okay, so you can do that for both the front and back piece because this is a stretchy fabric, so you can do that. So you make sure that ensures that both of them align. So the full length of the sleeve is 28 inches. Okay, so for the flare at the tip of the sleeve is going to be 10 inches. Okay, so basically what we have left is 18 inches. So that's what I'll be drafting on the rib fabric. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead to mark my pros divided by 12 plus 1.5. For me, it's 40 divided by 12 plus 1.5. So in my case, I have about 4 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to mark 4 inches downward. Okay, then I'm just going to go ahead to connect my line. So after connecting the line, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my shoulder to elbow, which is 12 inches, but because of the allowance I'm marking 12.5 inches, and for the length is 18 inches plus half inch allowance, so I marked 18.5 inches. Then I'm just going to go ahead to connect the lines like so. So the next thing is to take my armhole measurement on this line, so that's about 8 inches. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead to connect like so, and I'll mark the midpoints, then give it like an S kind of shape. Okay, so after doing this, the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to divide my elbow measurement by 2. So basically that's about 13 inches divided by 2, that's 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead to mark 6.5 inches on my elbow line. Okay, so this also on the where on the around the wrist side, basically where the gathers will connect, just whatever you have at that point divided by 2, then mark it. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead to connect like so. Then I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. Okay, so after cutting it out, I'm going to go ahead to join my piece. So I'm just placing the back piece right on top of the front piece. Okay, so you see what I'm saying, I notched the waist and the hips line for front and back just to make sure it is properly aligned. So I'm going to place the other side also. Okay, then I'm going to sew up the side by 1 inch and the shoulder part by half of an inch. Okay, so I'm sewing the side by 1 inch and the shoulder by half of an inch. So I'm just pinning it down. Okay, so after pinning it down, I'll take it to my sewing machine. Also for the sleeves, I'm going to go ahead to sew both sleeves off by 1 inch. Okay, I'm going to do that for both sleeves. So after doing that, this is what we have. So now I'm just going to go ahead to attach my sleeve to my dress and sew it off by half of an inch. Like I said, you really don't need to add zip allowance. Okay, if you are using this exact rib fabric, it is so stretchy. So now I'm just going to go ahead to sew up by half of an inch for both sleeves. Okay, So I'll take that to my sewing machine now. So this is what I have after sewing up the sleeve. So now I'm just going to go ahead to join the back pattern. Okay, so I'm just pinning it down, okay, to make sure it's properly aligning. I'm repeating myself again. If you're using this real fabric, you really do need to add what is the allowance I'm adding. Okay, so now I'm just going ahead to pin it down. So I'm going to mark a straight line by 1 inch. So basically that's where my zip will start from. So I'm going to join the lower part, okay, and I'll attach my zip like so. Okay, so after doing this, I'm just going to go ahead to mark whatever I have on this lower point. So I have about 20 inches, okay, so 20 inches for both the front and back, that's 40 inches. So 40 inches times 3 is what you'll be using for the flange. So basically the whole round of that lower part is 40 for the front and back, times 3, that's 120 inches. So this 10 inches that we are going to be adding to the lower part has to be on fold because it's folded, okay, it has to be on fold. So plus the allowance, I'll be using a total of 11 inches for the length, and for the width is going to be a total of 120 inches. Please make sure you're cutting this out on fold because it's going to be folded in that lower part. So I'm just marking 11 inches, okay. I'm just going to mark that 11 inches all through till you get 120 inches long. Just in case mine wasn't really enough, so I had to join, you understand, to make it 120 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead to connect the line like so. Okay, so after doing this, I'm going to go ahead to run a gather stitch on fold. Okay, on this line, just run a gather stitch on fold, basically the loosest stitch on your sewing machine. Okay, a loose stitch basically. So now this is me gathering the stitch I already made. So you're going to keep on gathering the stitch till you have 40 inches, which was the exact thing we have when we measured the lower part of the dress after joining. So now this is for the sleeve. I'm just cutting this fabric into two. This is basically what I have left. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead to fold the fabric over, then fold it over again. So basically we are drafting for both sleeve at the same time. That's why I folded into two to avoid confusion. Then you're going to go ahead to fold it over again. Okay, so we are cutting a 360 flare. So now you're going to go ahead to measure what you have on the lower part of your wrist, which is like basically your sleeve. Then whatever you have divided by 6.28 times 3, so whatever you have, that's what you are using, plus the length of the sleeve I'm using. So I'm using 9 inches, so it's supposed to be 10 inches, but because I don't have enough, so I'm just using 9 inches. So 9 plus 3.5, that's about 12, about 13. So I'm just marking that whatever I have all around, which is 13 inches. Okay, then after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to mark that 3.5 all around at this point. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. Okay, so now we already cut for both sleeve, both the right and the left sleeve. So you can see we have two. So for the lower part of the dress, like I said, it's a total of 40 inches. So on fold you should have about 20.5 inches, so 20 inches for the front and 20 inches for the back. Basically the half is to join it up. Okay, so now that's what I'm doing. So now after marking it, I see I have enough. Now I'm just going to go ahead to place them right on top of each other like so. Then I'm going to sew it up by half of an inch on this point. Okay, you can also go ahead to pin it down if you want. So I'm just pinning mine down also. So after pinning it down, I'm just going to sew it up by half of an inch. Okay, so now I'm going to place the gathered part. So make sure this part you joined is aligning with the joined part of the back. That's if you joined it. Okay, so now I'm just going to place it, then pin it down all around. So I'm pinning it down all around. But you have to be careful with this. Just pin it down around. So after pinning it down, I'm just going to go ahead to sew it up by half of an inch all round. So this fabric is quite stretchy, so you have to be very careful while pinning it down, and you have to take it really slow. So after you've ensured that you've pinned it down properly without any stretch or that, just go ahead to sew it up all around by half of an inch. So after sewing it up by half of an inch all around, this is what I have. So I already went ahead to attach the fleece to one sleeve. So now I'm just going to teach you how you are going to attach on the other sleeve, okay? So now I already went ahead to run a gather stitch on my flare sleeve. So I'm just going ahead to gather it, just keep gathering it. So you have till you have that 7.5 you have on the wrist of your sleeve or the hem of your sleeve. Just keep gathering it like so. Then after completely gathering it, I'm just going to go ahead to place it on the sleeve. So you're going to make sure it is like face on face, basically the right side of the door face and the right side of your sleeve is aligning, okay? Also, if you are using the door chest, the right side of your door chest and the right side of your sleeve is aligning. So just watch carefully how I'll place it, okay? So it's the right side on the right side. Then you're just going to go ahead to pin it down, okay? So just pin it down all around, okay? So you have to be careful also with this, so you're not overstretching the rib fabric or anything, okay? So after pinning it down all around, I'm just going to go ahead to sew it up by half of an inch basically. So that was what I did for the other sleeve also initially. Then I'm going to aim the neckline. So that's just it basically, okay? So this is what we have after sewing it up, okay? So if you enjoyed watching this video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment and share. See you in my next video, guys. Bye.